Buenos dias. Welcome to the Beast Den. My name is Sloan the Beast. I'm so excited to be going on my first not Instagram, YouTube live. I'm so excited to be here. Bear with me as I figure this all out. So today's kind of going to be a test run to see how we like it, what format is going to work best for us, how do we best communicate with one another. So if you are here in the live, please let me know because this is the first time that I'm doing this. So, if you are new here, my name is Sloan. I go by Sloan the Beast. I am a mom of four. I'm a homeschool parent, a wife of 13 years, a multi business owner, and a chaos coach for women that are in the circus act of juggling raising babies and building massively successful businesses. I help you create work life balance in a way that makes sense for you. So, if you are here in today's live, let me know where you are joining me from, and we can jump into content creation for busy moms. I'm super excited to talk about this. Content creation is something I'm very passionate about. And I believe that there's a lot of myths to be dispelled when it comes to creating content, especially as mothers, whether you identify as a stay-at-home mom, whether you identify as a work-from-home mom, if you identify as just an influencer or a content creator that also happens to be a mom, the tips that you are going to learn today are going to be applicable pretty much across the board. My goal here is just to make content creation a lot less scary for you, okay? And if my environment looks a little different, it is because I'm traveling again. I am in Las Vegas, just locking things in for my December retreat. I am hosting a retreat for women that, again, are moms and entrepreneurs. I'm going to teach you how to harness the chaos of your crazy busy life so that you're not putting yourself on the back burner and constantly burning out. So if that's something that you're interested in, I will leave it in the description box after the live. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. What are you going to be learning today? I want to shift your mindset so that, again, content creation isn't scary. I want you to understand why this is necessary and some ways that are really going to help you make this a lot more easier. You're going to be learning the best platforms that I believe you need to leverage as a busy mom. You're going to always have a content bank to turn to. So you're never going to run out of content ideas ever again with these little tricks. And then I want to talk to you about developing your own aesthetic because how do you create content that is unique to you? How do you create content where people can see that and say, oh, yeah, that's that person? So let's go ahead and jump right in. Throughout today's live, you can just pop in the chat any questions that you might have. I am going to have a Q&A at the end, but in the interim, you can start popping them in as they come about so that you don't forget them. All right, so the first thing I want you to identify is who are you online for? Okay. Why are you online? What are you doing here? Are you here because you just have nothing better to do and you want to have a creative outlet? Are you here because you have a business that you want to promote? And maybe this business, you want to push it forward, you want to gain brand exposure, you want to get new clients. Are you here because you want to grow a following, maybe step into this influencer space and content creator market? Why are you here? Okay, is this something that you're doing because everybody else is doing? Like, are you on Instagram because everybody else is on Instagram? Or do you actually enjoy creating content for Instagram? Do you have a strategy? Do you have a plan behind why it is that you are doing these things? It's really important to understand your goals behind content creation, social media, and other platforms like YouTube, Pinterest, okay, that are actually search engines and not social media. Really important that you understand that. Because when we're talking about creating a strategy behind your content creation, you have to know what are the goals, right? You have to kind of work backwards. If your goal is brand awareness, okay, then your strategy needs to support that. It does nothing for you to show up without a plan, without a strategy, and then kind of throw spaghetti at the walls. You're wasting valuable time. All right, so why are you even here? What are the goals that you have? Who do you serve? These are questions that you have to be asking yourself, okay? Who do you serve? What is the value that I want to provide to this space? Whether that's educational value, whether that's inspiration and encouragement, totally fine. Just get clear on why you're here, okay? The next thing I want to talk to you about is different content types, okay? When we're talking about content creation, I think oftentimes we only think about video, right? We only think about you shaking your butt to some trending audio, and that's not necessarily true. Content creation can be in written form. So, for example, blogs, that's a form of content creation. Photography, that's a form of content creation. Video, of course, that's a form of content creation. These are all content creation mediums that you are using to support your goal of XYZ. I will use myself as an example. I'm on social media for two reasons, and I kind of fall between this really unique space of I am an entrepreneur and I am on socials and I am across all these platforms because I want to continue growing my chaos coaching business. So I'm building brand awareness. But also, I just really love creating content. Like my story is very unique. I'm a mom of four, I homeschool. We lived off grid for a while. We were building our house. Like our life is very, very fast paced. And that provides encouragement for some people that maybe feel kind of lost in, oh my gosh, is my life a little too chaotic? Is this okay? What about my identity after motherhood? I talk a lot about that, right? So I provide the safe space, the safe container where women can come in and say, wow, I'm not the only one experiencing this, and it is totally possible to thrive in both business and motherhood and still have dreams and not have to put myself last. It's okay to do that, right? So I provide that encouragement, I provide that inspiration, but I also provide education through my business. So I kind of fall between those two spaces, okay? Now, why did we first talk about shifting your mindset around content creation? Because you need to, again, understand why it is that you're on the online space, and two, you need to stop telling yourself that content creation is hard. Stop saying that content creation is hard. It's really not that hard. My students, my clients will tell you that I preach documentation over production any day. Any day. What do I mean by that? I mean that I would much rather you just set up a tripod, put it on time lapse, and record yourself cooking breakfast and make that your content than have to go through an hour, 2 hours of producing a setup, planning out your different shots. That for a mom that's maybe navigating one, two, four children, that could be overwhelming and can cut into your valuable time. And I get that. And so that's why I preach documentation over content production. Now, does that mean that you do not have a strategy or a plan behind this? No, actually. What it means is that when you are scripting or when you are coming up with your content ideas, right, it means that now you have this bank of content to pull from where it's like, okay, this is what I want to say. And these are some what we call B-roll shots that I could actually use for that, right? If you are doing educational content, in that case, yeah, I do this all the time. If you're on my IG stories, you know I do this all of the time. I can be sitting in the car waiting for my Chick-fil-A and I will do a quick video while I'm just sitting there. And I will post that. Oh, Sloan, that's not aesthetics. We will talk aesthetics in a little bit. But people care about the value and people care about the fact that I show up and yeah, maybe my kids are fighting in the background. Maybe one of my kids jumps in just to say, hey, I won't apologize for that. You know I'm a busy mom. Why would you be surprised that my kids show up? That's crazy to me. Like I'm a mom, but you never see my kids. Come on now. You're going to see my kids. So I would much rather you document your content than overthink it and produce it. Make it easy. Make it easy and change your narrative from this is so hard to no, actually, I can make this really easy. All I have to do is document the little pieces of my day that seem mundane but are super relatable. Okay. With the online space being so huge, people they crave relationships, right? We crave someone that even online, it's why you hear like, I this is like my best friend and I've never met her in person. Why? Because there's so much that you have in common just based off of the content that you're both sharing with one another. Okay, that's the power of the community that you can build online in this digital space. So let's talk about the platforms that I believe you need to leverage. Again, this is going to go back to what are your goals? What are your goals when it comes to content creation. As an entrepreneur, if your goal is brand awareness, securing more clients, then okay, what do you prefer? LinkedIn? Do you want to be on TikTok and provide educational value that way? Do you want to do long form content like YouTube and show up once, twice a week for 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes? What's enjoyable to you? The best platform for you to leverage is really going to depend on number one, the goals that you have with your content creation. Now, for me, this is just for me. I personally don't really enjoy TikTok because of the volume that's involved in TikTok. Again, I am a multi-business owner. I homeschool, I've got 4 kids, and I have multiple clients that I serve. So when it comes to the volume of TikTok and the ROI on that, and if you don't know what ROI, it's just the return on investment. And when we're talking about investment, we're talking about my time investment. It's not worth it to me. It's not worth it to me. I post on TikTok if it's something silly or, that I have really nowhere else that I want to post, but I really want to share this cool video that I made, or I really want to share this great thing that I got, whatever the case is, I'll post it on there. But if I'm trying to grow brand awareness, if I'm trying to grow a following, I'm probably not going to be on TikTok just because you constantly have to be on this platform. Okay. And we're going to be talking about this a lot, really utilizing and maximizing the different features of every single platform that you're on. Okay. So, for example, on YouTube, this is my very first live. I've been dying to go live on YouTube. Why? Because I want to use all of YouTube's features. I love being on stories, I treat it like it's Facebook. I love creating shorts. I love creating long form. I love commenting on other people's videos and engaging. I'm using all of their features as best as I can so that YouTube can favor me and continue to push out my videos and continue to grow my audience. It's all working in my favor, right? So going back to what platforms I recommend, if we're talking about how busy you are, right, and how to make your time more productive and more efficient when it comes to content creation, you need to identify, okay, do I have the bandwidth to grow something like TikTok? I have heard stories of women that just go hard for 6 months, right? 4 or 5 videos a day, plus the engagement and everything else that goes into that. And they can grow a pretty decent following. Do you have that sort of discipline or even desire to show up at that capacity and to do that kind of work? I don't know. What are your goals? Okay. If we're talking about Instagram, it's no secret. It's very difficult to grow a following right now. Is it impossible? No, it's not. But I prefer to really leverage the community that I have right now, really nurture them, get them into my DMs. I love using stories. Stories are great for relationship building, and you don't need to produce them. It literally is like being on a FaceTime call with your bestie. And then here's the kicker. You can download those same videos and put them into a reel. It's the best of both worlds. Talk about repurposing here, okay? If I show up and I'm just having a casual conversation with a friend on IG stories, I could just take that content, slap some captions on top of that, slap some audio, put a really strong caption with a CTA, a call to action at the end, and there you go. There's today's post. Again, do not overthink it. Do not overcomplicate it. All right. I personally have really been enjoying Instagram, especially for that, for IG stories. Of course, you always want to have a feeds strategy. My current feed strategy is just providing value and providing a unique perspective, because those same feed posts I am using for my Facebook ads. Okay. Do you see the strategy behind that? I'm not here trying to grow a following on Instagram. I'm just trying to further nurture the community that I have. So my community will see more of my content because of the ads. And so I'm constantly providing, it's a cycle. I'm constantly providing that value, and they're constantly seeing my face and they're constantly hearing my voice, so that when something comes up in their life, they're like, I feel out of whack. I need help, or I need content support, or I need branding support. Sloan is one of the first people that they think of because I'm constantly in their line of vision, if that makes sense. Okay. The next platform that we're going to talk about is LinkedIn. And here's a little hack that I talked about in one of my videos is I take I use IG stories as a place to provide value. I do these like mini educational videos, maybe 1 to 3 takeaways, but I do script them. So I do have bullet points of what it is I want to talk about. I take that script of what I said in my IG stories and I throw that into a LinkedIn post. I don't make a separate post for LinkedIn. All I'm doing is repurposing that content so that when I'm applying to, let's say, a speaking engagement or a podcast interview, then they can go on my LinkedIn profile because people still do that and they can see the value that I'm providing on in that space, right? LinkedIn is definitely the place that you want to be if you're trying to get speaking engagements, if you were trying to work B2B with, big enterprises and big corporations. This is definitely a huge opportunity for you. LinkedIn has many benefits that I believe aren't being leveraged. And so if you want to start dabbling into it, that's one way to do it is repurpose your IG stories if they're educational content or even inspirational content and just throw that into a LinkedIn blog post, schedule it, let that baby go. It'll do its own thing. And if you want to take one step further, that same post you can then convert into a blog post. All right. Do you have to do all of these? No. Again, it all ties back to what do you want to do? If you're a great writer, you can write a blog post in an hour. Why wouldn't you? Leverage your SEO. Use that, make that your number one focus, right? But again, it all ties back to knowing what are your goals and who do you serve? What type of content do you enjoy creating? All right, I want to take a second to talk about threads because I have been experimenting more with threads in the last couple of weeks, and I believe it's an underused platform. I've really been loving it to just show up, provide value, to grow my audience, especially here on YouTube. It is a huge, huge market where you can connect with other YouTubers, where you can just, again, provide value and pitch your videos in a really genuine way that doesn't feel like sleazy or like you're trying to do a sub for sub or follow for follow or anything like that. Really just this saying like, hey girl, I'm so sorry you're struggling with this. Here's some tips on how I've been able to get through that. And I actually created a video that goes a little bit more in depth. If you have the time or even want to do that, here it is. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'm here for you. It's also really great for having content ideas. I have a whole spreadsheet, right, of I have a whole spreadsheet of content ideas. Sorry, I just got a message. I have a whole spreadsheet of content ideas, and that spreadsheet is kind of broken up into Facebook groups that I go into for market research, but also threads. Once you start posting about a certain topic, so for example, yesterday I posted that I'm going live and I'm doing this live on content creation for busy moms. Hold on. I need to make sure that this is recording because if not, oh my gosh, this is a new platform. So bear with me for just a second. Let me see. I don't even know how to use this. Okay, I think it is recording. I think we're fine. Okay, so with threads, you can go in and you can use it as market research. So after I posted that I'm going live today, I'm talking about, content creation for busy moms, all of a sudden the algorithm started throwing at me more women, more moms that are like, I have a ton of ideas, but I'm a mom and I have no time to post any of them, to record any of them. And it's like, girlfriend, you need to be on my live. Like, hey, girl, hey, be on my live because I can help you. So use these platforms as with strategy is what I'm trying to say. Use them with strategy. Figure out, okay, how do I want to further leverage this? What am I going to use it for? So I've been using threads as exactly that. A place for market research, a place to understand the mind of my target audience, but also a place where I can show up, where I can say the things that I want to say, where I can provide value, where I can build community. And it's been awesome. I love it. Now we're going to tap into YouTube. So I talked about this in my most recent video, and I'm not even sure if this is still recording anymore. Let me see. Camera, I want to take a second. I think it might still be recording. Okay, so I want to take a second to talk about YouTube because I talked about this in my last video, and I talked about how I just showed up on YouTube because I love long form video. I love editing. I love coming up with video ideas. It's just enjoyable to me. Like I love being the director, the producer, the creative director of all of the things, right? As I started to build out my business, however, I found that giving my community a behind the scenes look at how it is that I live my life, at how it is that I, in real time, harness my own chaos and the work-life balance that I've created for myself. What it did is it created this relatability and created this trust where it has by default grown my business because now people aren't like, is this girl just on Instagram saying all these cute things and promising these things that she's not even living out or hasn't been able to provide for others. Now they're seeing it in real time. You can't tell me, oh no, you don't do this for real when you're seeing it in real time. And because I'm huge on documentation over production, there's no doubt about is this real or is this made up? Nah, girl, this is 100% real and raw. And I try and be as honest and as transparent as I can be about that. And so when it comes to YouTube, right, there's so much that goes into this. And I don't say this to discourage you. I say this so that I'm setting the right expectation because I believe that YouTube is a huge opportunity for you to grow. I think it's a huge opportunity for you to chisel your content creation skills. I think it's a great opportunity for you to build a massively successful and loyal community around you. But it does take work. You do have to be consistent. Okay, you do have to have strategy. You have to get into your analytics. Get into your analytics. Stop being afraid of the numbers. Okay. Get into your analytics and understand what's working, what isn't working. Why aren't these things working? And how can you leverage them so that they can be working in your favor? Okay. Don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to try new things. YouTube is a great platform, but if we're talking about YouTube as a busy mom, you need to consider what is realistic for you. I I love the idea of batch recording content. For me, that has not worked. I tried it for years, and by the time that it was scheduled to come out or I was supposed to put it out, it just didn't feel in alignment to where I was at that moment. And so, what I have found is for me, I have to post in real time so that I can show up on stories and I can talk about it with big energy and the energy with which I push that content out is felt and it just translates so much better. But if you're like, Sloan, I just really don't have the time, batch your content. Batch your content. Push out 3 videos in a day, and then all you have to do is worry about editing them or get an editor to do it for you, which leads me to my next point is you don't have to do everything. You can always hire an editor. There's tons of content creations out there. This is something that I have been providing as a service as well, is bespoke behind the scenes content for small business owners and content creators. And it is incredible how many people are like, why did I not think of this before? It is such an affordable way for me to create content, have the content edited, and all I have to do is throw whatever text I want on top of it, add an audio on top of it. I have a whole bank, and all I have to do is show up, provide value to my community. I don't have to worry about anything else. But if you're saying you don't have the time, find or barter somebody that can provide content for you, that can record you, that can edit that content, that could schedule it out if that's what you want to do. But it could be as easy as just having someone like myself record a behind the scenes video of you, provide a couple of just quick reels, and then all you have to do is throw a text, put music behind it, throw your caption, and that's it. Make your life easier. It does not have to be overcomplicated. You really are the one that's overcomplicating it, okay? You really are the one that's overcomplicating it. So if you find that you're not having the time for something like YouTube, okay, record the videos, hire an editor. again, if you don't have the money, you have a service, a skill that you can provide, you have value that you can provide to that person, do so. It does not have to be that hard, but it does require for you to get out of your own ego and say, you know what? I actually need the help. These are the goals that I have. And if I want to reach these goals, got to get out of my head. All right. So how do you have a plethora of content ideas? How, Sloan, I want to grow my business. I want to grow my audience. I want to never run out of content ideas. Well, I already talked about this a little bit. Number one, Facebook groups. I love, love, love Facebook groups for market research. I will literally copy paste what people say in these Facebook groups and I will create content around it. And you will be surprised how many DMs I get of people that are like, yo, you are in my head right now. And it's like, literally, I'm in your head right now because you posted that 6 months ago. Like, yes, I know I'm in your head. But I know the value that I can provide, and I know how to shift certain mindset or limiting beliefs that they may have. I know that they need my help. And if I can go beyond just simply commenting a response on their post, if I can create something deeper and longer form and something that really is going to hit them and hit other people, because remember in school where they used to say, if you have a question, there's no such thing as a stupid question, right? If you have the question, there's probably somebody else in the room that has a question and just isn't ballsy enough to ask. Well, I have that same mentality, right? If someone has that question on in the Facebook group, there's probably hundreds of other women that have the same problem, that have the same question, that have the same doubts. Let's talk about it. Let's help them. There's some people that aren't even at the point of personal development that you and I have gotten to. And so they may go their entire life just accepting things as they are, and we can show them better. So Facebook groups is my number one spot for getting content ideas. Number two, I told you I've been loving threads. I love threads for content ideas because people don't, there's no filter on threads. It's like, it's not Instagram. No one cares about aesthetics. No one cares about cancel culture there. It's like, someone said it's like the early stages of Twitter, but I was never on Twitter, so I can't say if this is true or not, but I do enjoy it. I have been enjoying being on Threads and using it as a way to get ideas on, okay, what are some of the gaps in the content that's out there? What are some of the things that people feel like are not being talked about enough? And then I will cross-reference that. For example, if it's a YouTube video, I'll do my due diligence and cross-referencing. Is this actually a topic that people want to know more about, right? And I'll poll my community. I poll them all the time, whether it's on Instagram or on YouTube. I will poll my community to understand, what do you want to hear from me? What is important to you? What value can I provide to you? How can I make your life easier? Okay, so these are just some ways that you can have content ideas. Create a spreadsheet anywhere. Airtable, you can create a spreadsheet on ClickUp, you can create a spreadsheet on Google Sheets, wherever it is that is easy for you to access. And if you would like for me to create a video about this and you're watching the replay, just let me know in the comments down below and I can definitely walk you through that. But you want to create a bank of content ideas where it makes it really easy for you to say, okay, I've got creator's block. Let me go into my content bank. What can I create content about? And this happens all the time, right? It happens to writers all of the time. It happens to content creators all of the time. All right. Why I do not go into social media and look at what other people are doing or what's trending or things like that is because I personally am trying to go deeper with my community over expanding I don't want a ton of followers that aren't loyal to me. I want my current following to be loyal to me. I want them to feel seen. I want them to feel heard. I want them to feel like we have an actual relationship. And so that's why I prefer this method over going to my For You page and trying to replicate something that somebody did 2 weeks ago. Okay. The last thing that I want to share with you is how to develop your own aesthetic. This is probably one of the most commented things that I receive is, Sloan, I love your content. It stands out. And it's taken me a very long time to get to this point. And how I did that is just by showing up. I created so much content that eventually it got to the point where I understand, what do I like, what don't I like, what side of my face looks good, what angles do I enjoy, how creative do I want to get. I did a lot of research to understand, okay, what do people like? What is their attention span? How long do my videos need to be? What kind of music do I feel like best relates to me, so that when people hear this music, they're like, oh yeah, that's a Sloan video for sure. Okay. On my Instagram, I have this slogan that has now become all encompassing of my brand, it feels like. Because everywhere I go, in person or online, I always get this, and it's, you're in my head. Now I cannot go anywhere and not say this, and it's buenos dias, don't be rude, say it back. And it was just something simple that I created as a way to say, hey, good morning. Just let's open up a conversation. And then I added the don't be rude, say it back, because I believe that we need more manners. We need more values, right? And I want to be the kind of person that's associated to that, the kind of person that's associated with words like integrity and value and legacy. And so I also wanted it to be encompassing of the fact that I am a first generation Latina, and not enough people know that. And so it's a really cool way of people having this inside look at me and all the pieces of me. It's a way of personal branding that has really taken off for me. So, when we're talking about developing your own aesthetics, it's not about having a picture perfect house or a white and gray kitchen or the best lighting. It's just about creating a signature style that when people see your content, they know, oh, that's so and so, that's her content. So for me, it's usually moody, it's usually nostalgic. It's always going to have a buenos dias attached to it, right? That has developed over time. And if you are in this space where you're just starting off and you're trying to figure out, okay, what is my style? Here's a really great place to start. When it comes to your shot list, start wide, medium, and close up. That will give you enough range in perspectives so that you can navigate how you see fit, okay? And you can kind of cut that in a way that's interesting. You always want to focus on the story that you're telling, is a second way that you can build out your brand aesthetic. Focus on what story are you telling in your content, even if it is just a video of you walking down the street with a stroller. What is the story that you're telling? Okay. And then the last thing that I want you to think about is your brand colors. Again, for me, my content is associated with being very moody. So I do typically have like classical music, usually like dark classical music associated with it, or like lo-fi or something like that. And people know, over time, people know. And so you really want to think about, okay, what are your brand colors? How can you always show up in a way that your brand colors are somewhere tied into your content? What kind of music do you like? Always make sure that, yes, I understand the value of trending audios, but if you could use a trending audio that, again, is associated to your particular aesthetic, because you are the aesthetic, essentially, is what I'm trying to tell you. You are the vibe, you are the aesthetic. If you can create a experience that always ties back to you, I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but after a month or two of you doing the same exact thing, people are going to associate that with you. And once they do, you're already en route to creating that know, like, trust factor that eventually leads to a sale if you are a entrepreneur, or a potential brand deal if you're a content creator. Because content creators right now, the most important thing you can do is build your community, build that community loyalty, build that community trust. And you do this by embodying the aesthetic that you are. Don't try and copy everybody else, because what works for them is not going to work for you. You are you. Tap into that. And if you are struggling with, oh, Sloan, I don't know who I am after kids. I don't know what my aesthetic is. Don't worry, I have a free masterclass. I'll link it in the description box down below that you can take. 45 minutes to absolutely change your life and reinvent who you are after motherhood, from your wardrobe to your mindset. We are going to tap into a tantalizing confidence so that everywhere that you walk into, oh, your energy is definitely felt. We even cover your intimate life so that that can be thriving as well, right? It's not just about thriving in business. That's great. But if your home life isn't thriving, does it really mean anything? So I hope that this was helpful for you today. If you're watching the replay, please be sure to include your questions. I will be going in every so often just to answer them. And thank you so much for hanging out with me in my very first YouTube live. I've been so nervous about this, and this was such a cool experience. I hope to do this again next week, probably. I'm going to be experimenting with this for the next couple of weeks as I continue evolving my YouTube strategy and we continue building this community on here. Thank you to those of you that participated in the poll. Follow me on Instagram if you don't already. I am in Las Vegas for this week, so you'll have a ton of behind the scenes and a ton of content creation on the go. So you're going to be able to see how it is that I create content in very real time. And yeah, sweet nightmares, Beast fam. Thanks for being here.